Hey, what's up guys? I'm Scott from muscularstrength.com and welcome back to INSTA-GAHHHBAGE. In today's episode, we have a special guest as Kevin from Pure Bullfit will be chiming in on a particular Instagram account that just happens to make our blood boil. And speaking of Kevin, he'll actually be flying down to Florida next month as we'll be driving together to Port St. Lucie to participate in Alan Roberts' 6-hour workout to benefit wounded soldiers and their families. The event is going to be at Burt Built CrossFit from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and all donations will be going to the Semper fund. Guys, I think supporting our veterans, or more accurately, the people who fight for our freedoms, is one of the most important things that we can do as Americans, and I would like to dedicate my participation in this event to Marine Lance Corporal Robert L. Macello, who died May 1st, 2006, serving during Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was only 21 years old, he was my best friend, and he was the very first friend I ever made back in kindergarten. I wish all of you could have met him. He was actually going to become a pastor when he got back from his service, and he was very honorable, he was loved by many, and honestly guys, there isn't really a day that goes by that I don't miss him. So this is dedicated to you, bro. So if any of you live in the area and would like to join the event, from what Kevin told me, all you have to do is really just show up. And if you'd like to donate to the event to help support our veterans, I'll put the donation link in my pinned comment below. Okay guys, back to the task at hand. It's been a while since we've done an Insta-Garbage episode, but that hasn't stopped all of you from DMing me lots of garbage content. But one person in particular seems to get the most attention lately, and that's where we're going to stop. Meet Julian Wenger. To be honest, at first glance, I actually thought his page was very motivational. He posts new workouts all the time, and he's in great shape. But there was one exercise that you guys just kept flooding my DMs with, and it's this one right here, the plate curl. Now, Julian actually shows this exercise a lot, and a few different variations of it. And guys, I tried to be supportive and I experimented with this movement to try to find a way to make it effective, but it just doesn't work. You can only hold maybe 245 plates max if you're really strong, which even then is pushing it, and as soon as you curl about halfway up, a lot of that weight gets displaced and transfers to your shoulders. Also, you'll immediately feel a lot of pressure on your distal biceps tendon, even with just one plate. It's just not very safe, nor is it effective. Julian even says in his post though, he says, don't knock it until you've tried it. It's a lot harder than it looks. Rule number one, there are no rules. Well, I did try it, and rules exist for a reason, Julian. This is just a clear example of an exercise included in an IG post so that it can be the first exercise for shock value when scrolling. Traditional bicep curls just don't get the views anymore and are overlooked when scrolling. But if you see this image, chances are you might stop and watch. But you guys have to remember, what's attractive and what's effective are two very different things sometimes. Also, as I was scrolling through Julian's account, I noticed he likes to show plate hammer curls a lot as well. Again, an attractive exercise for the IG feed, but very limiting in both range of motion and how much weight you can lift. The bottom of the plate hits your thighs before you can even fully extend your arms, and you don't have too many options when it comes to working weight. It's either 45 pounds or 90 pounds. Now, something is better than nothing if you don't have dumbbells available, but there's a much better variation to this movement, and if any of you are training biceps today, you should definitely try this. Instead of holding one 45-pound plate with two hands, try holding a 10-pound plate or a 25-pound plate with one hand and curl that. Because the majority of the weight is in the front of your hand versus being above it and below it like in a traditional hammer curl, you have to really focus hard to keep your wrist from going into adduction, which means you have to squeeze that plate as hard as you can. This in turn forces you to flex your entire arm, causing more muscle fibers to be activated. Seriously guys, you'll feel parts of your arms get tense that you've never felt before. It's pretty great. But if 25s are too heavy and 10s are too light, well, then just stick to traditional hammer curls, guys. So Julian, honestly, dude, I think you have a really great IG page, but you have to be careful that you don't fall into the trap of reinventing the wheel for views. I'm pretty sure you didn't build your physique doing a lot of these weird exercises that you show on your page, so if you just cleaned up your form a bit and gave more detailed explanations in your posts for the exercises, I think you'd grow even faster. And before I let Kevin take over and expose all the insanity that is Dr. Joel Seedman, PhD, and his philosophy on squats, I'd actually like to help you guys out and protect your knees when you're squatting heavy by giving away 3 pairs of knee sleeves from my good friends over at Iron Bowl Strength. You guys don't really need to invest in a lot of gear for the gym to train safely and effectively, but as you start to really push your limits and move heavier weights, being cautious about injury prevention is important, and the primary purpose of knee sleeves is to protect the knees from future injury or risk of damage. And what they actually do is provide compression around the knee area, which helps to increase blood flow and reduces pain and swelling in the knee joint during and after a workout. To enter to win is actually very easy. All you have to do is, number 1, follow Iron Bowl Strength on Instagram, and number 2, leave a comment on this photo. We'll pick a winner by the end of the week, so don't miss it. And as always, if you see anything you like on the Iron Bowl website, you can use my code MS10 to get 10% off. So without any further ado, welcome to the channel, Kevin, and take it away.
Thanks, Scott. I think I got it from here. Hey folks, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Kevin from Pure Bullfit. It's a community that is dedicated to demystifying fitness, debunking the bullshit rife in the fitness industry, and providing people with actionable information that they can use to live longer, better quality lives. And what we try to do around here is give people the resources that they need how to avoid the scams and the bullshit, or what Scott has come to call Insta-Gahhhbage. And right here in Joel Seedman, we have a perfect example of Insta-Gahhhbage. Now this is something that I talked about probably 8 to 10 months ago, back when my channel was still in its infancy. I've only really been doing this for a year now. But we point out a lot of the same things, and I think this is how I got Scott's attention. He reached out to me shortly after, said he was interested in doing something on Joel because he'd seen some very concerning things, and this has been in the works ever since. Now, both of us had larger projects, things that we needed to talk about and do, but we are finally bringing to you the information that you deserve. You got to avoid shit like this. Now, the fitness industry is already full of undereducated, underinformed jackwagons trying to fleece you out of your money by passing on bullshit information as fact, using their personal anecdotal evidence or shit that they just made up in order to trick you out of your hard-earned green. And normally these guys are undereducated, they haven't got any credentials, they don't have a degree, but every once in a while we get a special case like we have here in Doctor of Kinesiology, Joel Seedman, someone who is educated enough to know better, but still doesn't give a shit. But he's a doctor. Could he really be that wrong? Yes, fucking absolutely. This is the kind of nonsense that you'll frequently see on his channel, on his Instagram and on his YouTube channel. And this isn't indicative of a small portion, a worst of the content, the most ridiculous oddities that you could find on his channel. It makes up the bulk of his content, despite the fact that he claims it only represents 2% of the training methodologies that he uses with people. He really, 80% of the time, do that math for me, 80% of the time relies on fundamentals and foundation movements, like the squat. But this is where we get into the weeds. It is absolutely okay to have a difference of opinion on how things should be done. I think that's healthy for the community, especially since there is so much more research, so many researchers like Dr. Brad Schoenfield hard at work trying to figure out what does the body do, how does it best react to stimulus, how can we further improve an already impressive body of work for what we are able to do, capable to do with our bodies. Then you've got this asshat. It's inflammatory posts like this, speaking definitively as an authority, leaning on his degree to state that it is fact that everything you know about the squat, one of the most fundamental movements out there, is wrong. And this is where it gets particularly dangerous. Dr. Joel Seedman claims that the squat, full, ass to grass, or even to what we traditionally view as parallel, and I'll get to that in a minute, is dangerous and the root of all biomechanical functions. And I'm not exaggerating here. You can see from this post that he claims that all biomechanical failures, problems, aberrations with your ankle mobility, sciatic nerves, it all comes from squatting too low. But fear not, he's got the answer. He's got the solution, and you just need at least $300 to $700 in order to access it. Now, there's nothing wrong with making money, but making money unscrupulously, taking advantage of people's naivete, their ignorance, or their lack of information is patently wrong. And that's the kind of shit that we need to put a stop to in this industry, and that is what's going on here. It's not just ridiculous, it doesn't just look stupid. A lot of this is patently dangerous. Yet the research that he continually cites in defense of his position and his points doesn't even say what he says it does. To sum it up, we've got this quote from Dr. Sam Spinell, a doctor of physical therapy, who reviewed all of the research. So what does Joel here insist that the science says? That squats below a 90-degree joint angle are dangerous, that they are the root of all biomechanical issues, and that you can unlock your advanced human performance if you only squat to 90 degrees or 10 degrees below in order to take advantage of the ideal range of motion for human beings, as if individual morphology didn't exist, or if any amount of science had actually demonstrated his statements to be true. And one of the studies that he likes to cite so much is an older study by Dr. Brad Schoenfeld that does suggest that for people with pre-existing conditions or ailments, that squatting ass to grass and aggressive range of motion can actually aggravate those conditions. But I really feel like that's something that everybody knew. That is a far cry from stating anything below a 90-degree joint angle and then calling that parallel is dangerous, is going to hurt you, and that avoiding it will actually unlock your advanced human performance. The problem isn't that he has this opinion. The problem is that he is leaning on his degree and the credibility that automatically comes with it to tell you that everything you know is wrong, and that he has the answer. And that answer is for sale. So what does the current science actually state? To date, everything that we understand demonstrates that a full range of motion and a combination of ranges of motion is what is ideal in order to achieve the most performance, the most strength, and the most muscle development. And that is even supported by the very studies that Dr. Joel Seedman cites. He's just ignoring those parts in favor of cherry-picking the little pieces that seem to support his argument. As a matter of fact, the most recent meta-analysis shared by Dr. Brad Schoenfeld demonstrates that a full range of motion is more effective. There is a benefit in regard to the squat, but those findings in that analysis cannot be applied to other muscle groups like the trunk and the arms and the back because they react differently for whatever reason, for reasons that we don't understand, which is why more research needs to go into it. So stating these things definitively and then creating such a pay gate of such a high financial barrier to give people the answers that they need because you're the only jack wagon that has them is disingenuous, it's dishonest, and it's disgusting. And that's why I have such a problem with people who do shit like this. It's not that he likes weird exercise variations or has a strange preoccupation with chains. Sure, he might have a side gig at a kink club in the Atlanta area. I don't know and I don't care. What I care about is giving people good information that the majority of your audience can apply. Encouraging folks to do shit like this is straight up Insta-garbage.
Well said, Kevin. And I think we should link our viewers to this masterpiece right here as well. Dr. Joel Seedman's 101 Squat Truths. I mean, guys, you might go insane after reading some of these, but it's definitely worth looking at. Take this gem, for example. Here's truth number 42. I've lost track of the number of cases I've witnessed over the last 8 years of individuals who had experienced significant pain and injuries in their hips, knee, back, ankles, and neck as a result of squatting deep, yet who were able to squat pain-free in a matter of minutes when taught how to perform a 90-degree eccentric isometric squat. There's nothing fancy or magical about it. It's just a matter of teaching them how to move the way God intended them to. So we're getting biblical with these squats. So instead of trying to find the actual problem and help these individuals overcome their mobility issues or possibly undiagnosed injury causing them to be in pain when they squat with full range of motion, let's just pretend like there's no problem. Also, I'm pretty sure God wants us to have full mobility of all of our joints. That's why healthy joints allow us to squat with full range of motion to begin with, right? And speaking of the trap bar exercise, like the one you just showed, Kevin, it was a trap bar exercise that relit the fuse for this episode because one of you DM'd me this exercise right here. In the same 2 sentences, Joel says, yes, this exercise is completely unnecessary and nuts, but also has unique benefits, which absolutely makes 0 sense. You guys can scroll through and read about all the unique benefits if you want to, but it doesn't take a lot of brain power to see how dangerous and useless this exercise really is. Call me old-fashioned, but if you want to work on your bench, you should bench. And if you're having a hard time with proper form, lower the weight and fix it. Also, if you want to work on your glutes and stability in your lower back and core, instead of doing this dangerous monstrosity, you can do a barbell hip thrust and focus on your form there and your contractions. Much safer in my opinion. And man, I really wish I had a trap bar in my gym so I could record Ricky trying to get into position, because that had to have been comical all in itself. But we don't have a trap bar, however we do have 2 barbells and some bands. So we can have some fun with our final Instagram exercise genius, Hazem Atia 50159, whatever that means. Now, what's interesting about this was that his post was actually a sponsored ad on Instagram, guys. So this man was actually paying money to see y'all injure yourselves. He really thought this was something that would bring in more clients in business. Now, there is a machine called the Frog, which is where he got this idea from. But safety costs money, guys. About $1,500 to be exact. So what's it gonna be? Safety? Career-ending self-inflicted injuries from being too creative? Or maybe just stick to the basics? I think you guys know the answer to that one. Hey guys, I hope you learned a few things from today's episode of INSTA-GAHHHBAGE, and if you'd like to catch up on previous episodes, you can click the link over here. Fitness isn't complicated. In fact, traditional training methods have built some of the greatest physiques of our time. So there's no need to reinvent the wheel. And that was the exact mindset behind my Guaranteed Gains program. So if you're looking for something new, you can click the link below and download it for free. I'll see you guys there.